yes, they know math class and English class and all those are very important, but there's just this desire to be like, but what about Jesus? Like, what more can we know? It's like this hunger for more. And that's really cool to see. And that's 6th through 12th grade we see. I just read to 3rd graders earlier, and it's like they're just so hungry to know more and have really deep questions. Like one of them asked me, yeah, my brother believes in God, but like he doesn't understand who created God. So if nobody created God, then how did God create the whole universe? And what came first, space or God? And I'm just like, wow, like their little minds. And so I think just across the board, there's this desire for more of everything.
Welcome to the Good Work West Texas podcast. I'm your host, Cindy Payton, alongside Leslie Crisp, and we're here to talk about West Texas, the good work that's happening here. And we just want to invite you to listen and learn today. We're actually interviewing and talking to Kresha Grizzard. She's from Midland Christian. She's a campus minister there. And so we're just excited to learn about the good work that's happening at the school and among students. And so thank you for being with us today and sharing.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So, well, tell us a little bit about who you are, your role, and just a little bit of background of what a campus minister actually is. And what does that mean? I know some people may know what that is and some people may not. So
Yeah.
start there.
So I started at Midland Christian about 16 years ago. I started as a history teacher and a coach, and coached a little bit of everything, I feel, at some point. Student council, sponsor, all of that. And then once I had my own kids, I got out of coaching just because of the demand and got into just teaching. And then I got a position teaching Bible. And then the Lord a few years ago was just like, here's where I want you. And it was kind of a prayer. It was always a prayer of mine. I just thought it was going to be later on in life when I had all the wisdom and knowledge that I thought would be more beneficial for kiddos. But that's how the Lord works. He's never does it in the time that we think. And so it's been really sweet. But I still feel like I'm super new. So this is my 3rd year as campus minister at Midland Christian. So still trying to figure out the ropes. But really what that is, as far as it pertains to our school, is we organize the chapels. So that's finding speakers. We have daily chapel, Monday through Friday. We are head of the Bible department there. So from pre-K through 12th grade, we we do life with kids is mainly the favorite part of my job, with kids and with staff and faculty, just coming alongside them. We have a great space at school that's kind of centrally located, with couches and a fridge and candy and all the things, and kids just can come in, teachers can come in for prayer. They can come in for homework. Really anything. It's just a place to kind of be, and not feel like you're in a classroom. And so essentially in a nutshell, that's what we do. There's so many other things that I feel like are part of it, but I think in a nutshell, more of the spiritual life of school. We have a great admin and staff that really it's just Bob Hiley and I do it together as the official title. But I feel like we work alongside, obviously, our admin and staff every day. So we're just all a team. We just happen to have that title, but truly it's the spiritual life of the school at Midland Christian.
That's great. That's great. So tell us about just what's your story about just how you got involved, how you knew you wanted to work with kids? That's not always a love that some
Yeah.
people have. And so, I think when we think about just the work that we do at Every Neighbor and what we want to help people connect to is just that everybody has a skill set, everybody has a heart, desire, passion to fulfill a need. We believe that God has a purpose in each of our lives to make a difference. And so, what did that look like for you when you first got started? Did you already know you loved kids, or how did that kind of morph and change?
Yeah, I always love kids. My little girl it's funny. She wants to play teacher. We were playing teacher till like 9:30 last night. And so I can already see it in her, but I love to always play school at home. It was either that or be a pediatrician. And I knew it was something with kids, but I don't like needles or throw up. So it was like, okay, well, I still get the throw up. I feel like some days, but overall, like the Lord put that on my heart really early I just loved kids. I really loved people, I think is what it's more. Love kids, I think, in the realm of work I'm in, but just loving doing life and being with people is really where my heart just like, I feel like thrives. And it's just not that I'm great at it, but just like, that's where my passion is. So just from when I was younger, loved to be play teacher and all the things. But really, I love to coach. I love coaching basketball. That is my passion. I actually just have had opportunities here and there to even pick it back up. But with the season of life we're in right now, it's perfect where it's at. But it is something I love. So I do my little kids sports teams. But coaching and teaching is just always something I knew. I feel like the Lord just put on my heart early that kind of the direction He wanted me to go. But I'm still excited about what's to come. And so I guess it's just kind of this really always been there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
I think that's really neat because I think for some people there's a little bit of fear when you think, "Oh my gosh, I work with kids,"
Yeah. The scary stuff. Even
like
if you know.
you never know what's going to happen, but so tell us about was there some just you kind of always known, but was there somebody in your life that was a mentor or somebody that you looked up to that might have been that someone who was that example for you?
Yeah, so there's a long line of people, and I hate that I will probably leave people out, not on purpose, but just for time's sake. But I started going to Midland Christian in 7th grade, and that just kind of fell into our family's lap. Again, the Lord orchestrating that, but it was never the intention. My older sister was going to go, and we were going to maybe go later, but it ended up working out. That doors open. And so I remember Kathy Hutton, she was the campus minister at the time, taught Bible. It's just kind of been like a matriarch, I feel like, at school with a lot of things, laying the foundation spiritually. And I just remember watching her and her mentoring me growing up. And she just had this heart for people and heart for service. And it was like, I just want to go help people all day. Like I tell students, if I could get you out of class every day and we could just go to a different place, like that would be great. But I don't know that I would have my job tomorrow if I did that. I probably would, but maybe I don't know. But I just remember watching her. I think she was probably one of the most influential people as far as just being the hands and feet of Jesus. Because a lot of people can talk about it, and I think they mean well and they spread the gospel like verbally, but to actually physically go out and do that, that was really moving for me because she was not afraid to put her gloves on and to get in the thick of it. And she's really the first person I remember doing that and being such an influence on kind of my walk with the Lord, but also wanting to serve.
No, I love that because I think that many times, um, you know, a lot of us have examples in our, parents or other family members, but to have someone at school or a teacher or someone that's in our path that we can really look up to. And a lot of times, I know even in our own experience, you can tell your own kids something, but when somebody else
Yeah.
speaks into their life, it's huge. And
Yeah.
so I love that you get to play that role now, learning that from Kathy and just her being a great part of your life and an example, but now you get to walk that with other students. And I love that just to see that path and honestly generational because I think when you there is something a little bit about being older to see just what God does in our lives through the
Yeah,
years
for sure.
and how he changes us in that way. So when you mentioned a little bit about loving to take kids out of class, and helping them to serve, we know that that's your heart, but also tell us a little bit about what Midland Christian empowered you guys to do. Tell us a little bit of history of that with Mission Week.
Yeah. So when I went to school there with Kathy, with Miss Hutton, it was one day. We had a service day, and we'd spend I guess 7th through 12th grade at that time would take the whole day and they would go serve numerous organizations. And it was amazing. And then when Mr. Hiley and I stepped into the role, he brought kind of the idea of like, what if there's a whole week? And so we spent the fall semester of our first year, which I guess would have been in 22, I think, um, going to like schools in the Metroplex that were doing it and doing it really well. And we just got to visit with them for a few days. How does this work? Well, like, because to me, very like I would love to say that I'm just like go with the flow, which I am in a lot of things. But when I'm orchestrating 650 or we're orchestrating 650 humans, it's like, okay, Lord, this is wild, but yes. And so it was a bit overwhelming at first, and I was kind of like, "Ugh, are you sure this is like what day is really feasible?" But golly, I can't even imagine. So we just brought it forward to our admin, and there was like no question. They were like, how can we help? Tell us what we need to do. Start running with it, and we'll just come alongside you. And so from there, we've just every year, we just kind of grow a little bit. We just finished our 2nd year of Mission Week, but I think our first like goal. I was kind of thinking this earlier before you, I was thinking through some of the questions. I think our our hope and our focus and our prayer is to create disciples, but it goes hand in hand with doing mission work and serving. Like you can't really have one without the other. Because when you become this follower of Christ and you get this like fire inside of you, it just is from the overflow of your heart that you want to go and like spread that with others. And so um it just has been a beautiful kind of walk and journey of watching these kids fall in love with Jesus, and some maybe be unsure about Jesus. And it kind of puts the pieces together for a lot of these kids to be able to go and be a part of something that's bigger than them and to take them outside the four walls. They hear it every day in chapel, I feel like. And I know as a student sitting there, sometimes it gets monotonous, and probably maybe falls off their ears some days just because, okay, another day, another day. But I think when we take them outside into the real world and let them experience things, I think that's where they start to see, like you said earlier, they have gifts and they have something that the Lord has put inside of them that is going to help further the kingdom of heaven. And so when I think about Mission Week, yes, I know that it does serve a purpose in like helping organizations, but it's really about like growing the kingdom of God. Like that is just so cool to me that the Lord has placed passions and skills inside of us that we have something to offer the world. And I think when kids can realize that, man, it changes everything about them. Like it makes me so excited to find kids that when it just kind of clicks for them, because then everything changes. Like we see kids that struggle with mental health. We see kids that struggle with, you know, their self-worth and like I have nothing to live for. And then it just clicks for them. And it's like, oh my gosh, like the Lord did design me for a purpose. He did. It gives me chills literally sitting here of like, I have a reason. And that to me, like I'll do that all day long to just say, okay, Lord, like if it means taking a week and losing a lot of sleep and a lot of my hair, yeah, well, whatever, for the sake of that, 100 times over, Lord. Like it's the most beautiful thing. And I don't think you can um depict that. Like we do slideshows and pictures after mission. I don't think you can depict that when a kid gets and understands like I have something inside of me that is special and that the Lord's given me that I can offer to the world. And that's what excites me the most about it.
Makes me emotional. Um, as you're talking about that, oh, sorry. Just thinking, how many people live in this world that don't feel like they have a purpose, um, and that really spend their whole life never finding their why.
Mhm.
And so I just love that you guys are doing that and starting to breathe that into this next generation at such a young age. So I just wanted to give you kudos for that. I've heard from multiple people in the community of your kiddos coming and serving in Mission Week. And last year had a kid, my own
Yeah.
kid, who
Yeah.
was a part of Mission Week. And so it just, I love that you are helping the next generation find their why.
Well, that is, thank you. I'm glad the Lord allows me to do that every day. So
Yeah, and it's great. I know that there's a lot of logistical things that play into that. You mentioned wanting to pull your hair out, and I'm sure there's all the challenges,
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I think the joy that like just you express in that is just incredible, because I think a lot of times we can have an attitude about serving, like I've got to go do this.
mhm,
I think sometimes um, we know we should, or, that kind of
yeah,
feeling. But I think really when we realize that why, and we realize that we're being able to use skills, and whether that's even if we have a real skill, you know
mhm,
what I mean?
mhm,
Like
right.
I actually was talking to a friend yesterday, and we were laughing because she said, Cindy, I don't have a skill. And I said, yes, you do.
Mhm,
Like we all do. We
yeah,
just sometimes struggle to find it.
yeah,
And so it's one of those things that when you think about that, students have that skill set, you, um, even if it's just sharing a smile,
mhm,
handing out food, what are,
mhm,
I want to talk about in a minute some of the things that where you served and what that looked like. But I think it's just important that it can be the smallest things that can make a difference. And sometimes it is a smile. Sometimes it's you got to have a legitimate skill,
yeah,
you know.
right.
But it's just the time involved and the time invested. I think is really critical that you allow the students, that administration allows the students to do that for a
Yeah,
week and to experience a variety of different, avenues of serving.
yeah. I think
So
you're exactly right. I think it's like the heart posture of what you're desiring to do. If you say yes to the Lord, like hey, I don't really have a whole lot to offer, Lord, or whatever it may be, or hey, Lord, like, what the heck is this week? I'd rather be home sleeping, because you get all things. Like, let's be realistic here. We're dealing with 6th through 12th graders. So not everybody's just like, hey, let's go. In a perfect world, I'd love to be like everybody was on cloud nine. Now, by the end of the week, obviously, a lot of their attitudes definitely shifted. But I think when we just approach it with like, hey, Lord, I use me. I don't know what that looks like. You're right. It can be. I mean, we have everybody has something to offer, and what I think the world does a poor job of is classifying them as small gifts or um yeah, you may be able to run a skill saw, but like we still need the gift of like hospitality and the gift of compassion. And so just seeing some of these young people maybe working at a Christmas in action home where there's some doing the manual labor that are really skilled like physically, but also the young people that are visiting with the homeowners and they're calling and saying, "Hey, can we have extra money to go buy flowers now? And can we do this and that?" Like that compassionate heart, I think they may not love doing the physical labor, but they've learned, hey, I have a heart for people, or maybe a heart for elderly or a heart for disabled. That is what's really cool. And so I just want students to hear, like, yes, you all have gifts and skill, but don't minimize them because I think the world does a really
Does that?
Well,
great
so
job of minimizing.
often I think that the skills that are minimized are a lot of the things that are done behind the scenes that
Yeah,
actually make the
yeah,
operation happen. So there's
absolutely.
always going to be the front runner, right? That gets all of the accolades, or it
Mhm.
looks like, oh, they did all of the
Yeah,
good work, but really a lot of the good work is done behind the scenes.
yeah.
Um, did y'all have any of those behind the scene things that you could tell us
Mm.
that some of the students did that helps these operations move forward?
Oh my goodness. On the spot, I've been trying to rack my brain. There's so many that I could name. But one in particular, so our students have served with Bynum for several years. I mean, since I don't know how long, but a long time, and formed a great partnership with them. And just seeing them go the extra mile, not just with, so Bynum is kind of where we started, but then now with like Friendship House and seeing them go the extra mile. So the other day during Mission Week, they had made pinatas with the friends at Friendship House. And I guess it was about 2 weeks ago. I might be a little wrong on my weeks, but about 2 weeks ago, Friendship House came to Midland Christian during lunch and we had pizza together and we busted the pinatas together. And so behind the scenes looks more like they still want more after the fact. They're not just okay with, hey, just 1 week. Like we want to do this more. And so that's been really neat. Working on, possibly like a prom for Bynum kids. And then some teachers that are like, oh my goodness, like I had no idea what this was going to be like. And they've kind of taken initiative and they're taking the lead on some things. Hoping to even start like a students in philanthropy class at Midland Christian next year. So there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. Just hearing kids, the little things about the little conversations with the people they were serving that they were having, or not little, but the conversations that they thought were little that probably made the biggest impact. Serving people lunch, getting to pray over people. And that's what I love is like our 6th graders might be serving at the soup kitchen and they are praying with people. And so it gets them out of their comfort zone. We're probably walking down the hall. Are they going to pray with a student? May or may not. We have some that do, absolutely. But I think it gives them kind of this freedom of like, okay, I'm in this setting and not a lot of people know me. So I'm gonna lay hands on this person and pray with them. And so that's really neat. They kind of get out of their comfort zone. So there was a lot of that kind of stuff that happened, I feel like, especially with our middle school kids where they kind of felt empowered, like I can do this. And so those sweet moments and pockets of prayer or conversation.
I love what you described. Just when I think about good work in general, um, you know, scripture talks about just that God empowers us to do good work, to be that hands and feet and things that He prepared for us to do. And so I love that even what you've mentioned, the ripple effect of a student, and serving at an organization, and then it comes to the school, and then a teacher's impacted. And just, I think that that's what we love about our community, we love about the nonprofits is that when people really take a step into, hey, I've taken an hour this week to go do something, that ripple effect, you don't know where it reaches.
Yeah.
And so I love that you may not see the full impact of what you guys have done for several years. I love the stories that you've already
Yeah.
shared, but when you think about looking back on how that impacts a
Mhm.
student's life or a teacher's life, and the client that whatever
Yeah.
nonprofit you are serving,
Yeah.
how that could have made a difference. So I love that, just that ripple effect.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
We heard a sweet story at Senior Life. We were meeting with them, and that the students had done the work that they were assigned to do, and so they started making cards.
Oh, wow.
And one of the people at Senior Life shared with us that when they started reading the cards, like looking through the cards, that these kids were like so intentional with the prayers that they were writing to these people who they will be delivering these cards to, who have really very little, if any, other human interaction other than getting that mail dropped
Yeah.
off each day. And so that was something behind the scenes that was done. I don't even know if they've shared that story
Yeah,
with
no, I
you
haven't.
yet, that the what these kids wrote in there was so intentional and so uplifting. Just so sweet
Yeah.
that your students had written for these elderly people
Awesome.
that would get them. So
That is
sweet.
awesome. Yeah. That's
well, what do
great.
you see as when you think about just where you want to go with extending Mission Week? I know we've talked about local,
Mhm.
but tell us a little bit about how that even extends to other places that kids or students are able to go.
Yeah. So, we have so many wonderful organizations here that we probably didn't even scratch the surface. I can't remember the total number of nonprofits here, but we serve, probably maybe 40 to 50 by the time the week is over. Um, and so really there's a need for to possibly go outside of Midland, Odessa, this area. And so this year we sent a group to Arizona, and we had 4 international trips, one to Zambia, one to the Dominican, one to Spain, and one to the Dominican Republic. Did I already say them? I didn't, did I?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
Dominican.
did.
Dominican, Spain, Zambia, and shoot, sorry, y'all. Dominican, Spain, Zambia, and Guatemala. Sorry, that's what I was leaving off. Guatemala. Um, and so we literally are just we kind of want to open that up to wherever kids kind of feel pulled towards. For me personally, like I have a heart for just local missions. Like I love it. If I had more time, I would do it more, but I love that there's places like Soup Kitchen or Senior Life where you can take your kids along. That's really important for me. But I also know there's this drive, like for the Pippins at our school who've gone to Zambia. That's how they met. That's where that Mr. and Mrs. Pippin met at that teach at our school. That's where they met, was in Zambia. And so now they get to take students and go there. And I just feel like that is a really neat story in and of itself, of how the Lord orchestrates things that neither one of them were looking. I don't want to tell that story for them, but neither one of them were looking. And the Lord brought them together in a place that's so sacred and holy for them now, and they get to take students along. And so that's really neat, as a relationship side of it, as they're going to all these places, is the relationships that are being built, because you're going with people. We try not to team them up with their best friend either. We try to kind of put them with 15 to 20 kids that maybe they're not with all the time. And especially when you go internationally, our Zambia group is one that, I mean, literally, you might not know a soul. But we've got freshmen that are like, this isn't what I know I want to do. I can think of one girl that comes to mind right now, and she was like, I'm going and I'm doing it. And she went and she loved it, and she made so many new friends. And it's just been really, really neat to see that connection brought back of the relationships within Midland Christian students. So yeah, we try to offer a wide variety. Our Arizona trip was very apologetic centered, kind of preparing them, defending their faith, and it was an experience through the Grand Canyon, through creation. And they did a fabulous job. The Glory View Ranch, they did a fabulous job of presenting that to our students. So we try to offer several different avenues, and as they get a little bit older, opening and kind of widening their variety of what else is out there. And for some, they will go overseas every year, and for some, they may never. And I think it's really important, as a staff and a administration, just a body of believers, that like wherever your 2 feet are planted, we've said that over and over all year long. Like I think kids come in like, well, I'm not going, overseas. Well, like that's okay. Like where are you planted? Where does the Lord have you now? Because we need you just as much as they need you. And like the main thing again goes back to what we talked about before, the posture of your heart and your willingness to serve. So all over, all over.
And and each one is so important for just people to be able to know, um, I am I am useful. God is going to use that
Mhm.
where I am and what I'm doing, and not to feel this, oh, well, maybe the opportunity will arise next year
Yeah.
of what we do. One of the things that I think about, and just as you guys thinking about dreaming, and I know that there's uh, Greenwood
Mhm.
school has kind of done a similar work, and we're not sure of all the background on that,
Yeah.
but I love the opportunities that you're giving students, and I hope that families, whether their kids go to public school, other private schools, whatever that looks like, that we as parents, as grandparents, as aunts, as uncles, that we would find a way to have those opportunities for children. And so I love that you guys have set an example. You have the beauty of doing that in the
Yeah.
school environment alongside. Definitely, that's an education in and of itself. But thank you just for being the example, because I know that all of us need to hear about those life changes that are made and how we can make an impact where we are. So,
Thank you. Yeah, it comes with a great team of people. I mean, our staff literally, some of them come back with, I saw one teacher, I think it was like on a Wednesday or Thursday of mission week, one of the last couple of days, she like shows me these bandages on her hands. Like she's been lifting ladders and working with kids. And I'm like, okay, maybe next year we like, I don't know, revamp some safety things, but they're just all in, it's kind of out of their comfort zone too, because they may have never done this or done that before. Um, but it's really neat to have an administration and a staff behind you that says, yes, we'll do this. And how can we help and come alongside? And then just the parents. I mean, we had so many parents that we had 3 or 4 moms that I know tackled all the lunches for the week. Like they created a huge sign up genius, which blows my mind. I get them all the time for my little kids, but like creating one, I don't even know. But organizing over, I meant to count how many total lunches, but I mean, if you're looking at 15 groups a day, so that's so much math. I'm not a math teacher. I love Jesus. So what's the math, right? He fed the 5,000 with very little. So math is irrelevant. But I think for me, seeing these parents that are just so willing to serve too. So it's like we're really coming alongside these great families that are desiring this for our children. And how cool is it that they get to send them to a school? By no means is perfect, by no means like are any of us, but to send them to a school that's trying to disciple young people. So it's really neat to see them. So they organize all these lunches for us and it went off without a hitch. And it's like, okay, one thing delegated this year. What else next year could we involve parents with? But that is really cool about Mission Week is getting to partner with parents and giving parents the opportunity to be involved in secondary. Because I feel like in elementary, there's always a party or there's always something to do. But as you get older, your kids, it just kind of make them a little bit more self-sufficient. There's not as many activities within the school day. And so Mission Week, we get a chance to know these parents. And kind of figure out, we met a family that owned a Chick-fil-A in Odessa and got to know them really well. And they just were so generous for us. But just everything from snacks to donations. The parents were just like, how can we help? Tell us what you need and we will fulfill it. And so that was really neat to on the parent side of it too.
How
Just
have Oh, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Cindy.
No, go ahead.
How have you seen it change the culture of your school with kids serving together, families being involved, administration being behind you? Have you seen in the 2 years that y'all have done the mission week that it's changed the culture inside the hallways of your school?
I know it has, and I know that the Lord has more to come. Um, Prior to Mission Week, we have chapel every day, but prior to Mission Week, Albert Hall, Greg Williams, and Abigail Holmes, they are our worship team that comes. So Greg and Abigail work there in Albert Hall. I'm sure everybody knows Albert, but does worship, and they usually come every Thursday, and for about 25 minutes, they go back to class. Well, on this particular day, I can't remember the exact date. I have it written down somewhere. I know. On this exact date, they didn't leave. Like the 6th or 12th graders stayed in the SLC and they didn't want worship to end. Um, and so from that moment on, there's this spiritual revival kind of happening at school. We truly believe that is, I think it's happening all over. I think it's happening in Midland. I think that's why we're starting to see, I don't know in y'all's end, but I know personally just the kind of season in life we're in with our friends, like this desire to serve and to get out and experience things with your kids. Um, and so we had that. And then just after Mission Week, it was like there was this almost like things kind of slowed down for kids. I know it didn't really in their schedule, but when it would come to chapel or it would come to school, like they just wanted to sit and they wanted to visit and they wanted to be in the moment. And so I think there's this cultural shift with our students and trying with our staff, and I'm guilty of it too, of like instead of this getting to the next thing, I've noticed with our students like very intentional, relational almost just wanting to like I see and envisioning like sitting at the feet of Jesus, and just wanting more, desiring more, whether that be from a classroom setting, whether they're taking apologetics. I mean, kids will come into our room and they're like, can we do more? I teach eighth graders and they are really into debating right now, which probably because eighth graders love to, are you? But I'm learning like, let's use this to the benefit of the kingdom. So just like this desire to know more. So I think culturally, absolutely, it has changed. We have so many conversations in our office every day. I just had like 5 kids in my office as I was leaving, just wanting to sit and talk and ask questions. And so I don't know that I think Mission Week allows for more of that. I wouldn't say it's the catalyst for everything. I think just the Holy Spirit being invited in every day and us as a school just being willing, failing and succeeding at things, but also realizing, hey, there's a need for this. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think Mission Week definitely plays a part in that. And there's definitely been a culture shift that we've seen just in the, I don't know, it's almost like, yes, they know math class and English class, and all those are very important, but there's just this desire to be like, but what about Jesus? Like, what more can we know? It's like this hunger for more. And that's really cool to see. And that's 6th through 12th grade we see. I just read to 3rd graders earlier, and it's like they're just so hungry to know more and have really deep questions. Like one of them asked me, um, yeah, my brother believes in God, but like he doesn't understand who created God. So if nobody created God, then how did God create the whole universe? And what came first, space or God? And I'm just like, wow, like their little minds. And so I think just across the board, there's this desire for more of everything. And I do know when signups come out in a couple weeks, there's already a ton of kids are like, I'm going international, I'm going here, I'm going there. And so that's really cool too, because that does take a lot of prayer and a lot of boldness to say, I'm going to go out of the country for a week or 2 weeks and give up my spring break and go. So I think to answer your question in a nutshell, yes, a cultural shift across the board with just kind of the mindset of what is the main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So is there one thing that you would say, just as, and this may be too hard, but just one thing that has just impacted you, even just recently through, maybe it was working with a nonprofit or working with a client there or working with a student that has just kind of resonated with you in the last few months since we've kind of ended Mission Week and
yeah, I'm trying to think of which one I want to share. Hold on. Um, there's so many running through my head right now. Sorry. Um, I will say locally, I'll kind of hit one maybe from every avenue, but locally, I think it's one of our teachers that I've just really loved hearing her heart. Like she loved Jesus. She loves Jesus. She's always loved Jesus. But to see something shift in her view and her mindset of just how she sees people was really, really just personally like I'll never forget texting her and she sends me this where we're just talking back and forth about the week. And she actually wasn't even supposed to be with the group she was with. But because of like sickness and just things came up, she kind of had a pivot. And she's one of those ladies I can reach out to and be like, hey, can you do this? And she's not gonna freak out. She's like, okay, sure. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll do it. That's already her personality. But to see her whole mindset just shift has been so neat. And just seeing the text come across is like, what did I ever do without Mission Week? Like, and that's from adults. And so I think personally that right off the bat is what is always going to resonate with me. And then she got up and she talked to the students at our celebration day. And she's just ran with it since, like has a heart, and her specific heart is for special needs. And that's where she's just ran with it. Hopefully she's going to teach our students in philanthropy class. So that's been really cool from adult side. And then student side, I had a student that was just navigating some things before they left. Not easy things. She's always been a very bold believer. I had her in 8th grade and just been very, I don't know, firm in her faith. And so she knew right off the bat she was going to go to Zambia. And I was like, wow, girl, like that's really bold, but I wasn't really surprised. And so before she went, she was kind of just in a place of like wrestling and kind of just junk. And then just seeing her come back, it's like, and I was telling her the other day, the Lord knew that you needed that more than anything. So imagine, and I don't try to get real churchy sometimes with them because I'm like, everything happens for a reason. I do believe that. And the Lord's timing is perfect. But in the moment of like when they're crying in your office, they don't want to hear that. So it's really cool about a month later to sit with her and say, hey, you remember all that stuff that happened? Like in the moment, we were both crying and we were both upset and we both didn't understand why. But now that you're back, don't you see all the things that had to unfold for you to fully be in this trip?
Mm.
Like, I don't know that you would have fully grasped everything that the Lord had to offer had you been held back by certain things. And so she was able to be all in. And that was just so beautiful. And then since she's come back, she's one of those that's just like, give me Jesus. Like, let me just go live in Zambia. And I don't, and it's really neat. We had Kenya, the KWO, Kenyan Widows and Orphans, come and talk the other day. And she connected right with them. And so that's what I'm talking about, is seeing these kiddos that are in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, and they literally have this fire to like, I can go do something. I can go be a part of this work that the Lord is doing. And that to me is everything for these kids. Because when they buy into that, yes, there's going to be hiccups, and yes, there's going to be roadblocks and hard things come to them. But when their sole purpose is rooted in who am I in Christ and who does he say I am? What name does he call me? Well, then like I can withstand anything. And so I think feeding into that, I think to sum up kind of some of what we've talked about, like Mission Week helps, I think, feed into the Lord, allows the Lord to speak into the identity of these kids. What name am I calling you? Big Jamie Winship fans over here at our school trying to get him here. So shout out to Jamie. Come on, come see us. But I think they struggle with all these unbeliefs about who they are and what they can or cannot do. And so these lies have seeped in. And so now it's like, okay, how can we give them an opportunity? And one of those ways I think is definitely Mission Week, of like, how can we push the truth of who they are? You are called, you are compassionate, you are a prayer warrior, you are gifted spiritually with just discernment, whatever that may be. Maybe it's physically, maybe it's um, building, or maybe it is working with special needs, but like, I have called you by name. And just to be able to push kids out there and adults out there and be like, go figure out the name he's calling you, like the true name he's calling you. That is like been the highlight. I think when I thought of like prayer and like Mission Week this year, it wasn't so much of like, I want to do this and make that was a piece of it. I want to make an impact around the community and the world, but really I want our kids to know who the Lord calls them by name, because when they can figure that out, the ripple effect happens. But if they're just doing it to check a box, the ripple effect doesn't go as far. And so when they're living a life in their true identity and their true giftings and the names that the Lord calls them, man, what an exciting generation to grow up and get to come alongside. So that was probably way too much, but
No, Kresha, thank you so much for everything you've shared. Thank you just for being real and the struggles, the joys,
yeah.
the impact that you're making there among students and your team. Just thanks for investing back in the community. I know that all of our nonprofits, the ones that we had conversations with, I know what a blessing it was for them to have you guys, and just to know, to give them insight into the real Midland and the needs that we have. And so thank you for just allowing that to happen. Thank you to your staff and for sharing with us today. It's been
Well,
great.
thank y'all for having me. And you guys were vital in Mission Week too. There was days when I was looking at the calendar, like, I don't think we're going to have enough places for the, and y'all still, it is invaluable, the connections that you guys are making in the community, and then allowing that to kind of bleed into our school. So thank y'all you were a huge part of Mission Week. And I'm so thankful that our paths and our lives have crossed, whether that be through your daughter or just through this organization that y'all are doing with every neighbor. And so thank you. And I'm just so grateful that it's really cool how all the dots kind of connect. Like, here I am saying this podcast, but you guys had a hand in Mission Week. So I want people to know that, like, you're not just sitting here as like hearing this for the first time. You guys got to be in some meetings where maybe I was like, how the heck's this going to work? I mean, yeah, frustrations or whatever it may come out. But so thank y'all for the opportunity to be here, but also to help us and be willing to help us.
Thank you.
And I just want to thank you, because so often we don't know what our passions are until we have an experience.
Yeah.
And you are allowing these students to have an experience where even at a young age, they may be discovering their passion and their calling. And so
Yeah.
thank you for what you're doing in the community.
It's the school and the admin and staff. I've got a lot of great people that allow us to do that. So thank y'all for
Thank you.
letting us share.
Thank you. Thanks for being with us today. And we look forward to further episodes. Thanks so much to Kresha for being here. And please subscribe to our podcast. We're at YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Find us and connect with Midland Christian and some of the other nonprofits that we've talked about today. They all have a place that we can use our gifts and skills. And so we just encourage you to do that for you and your families.